Locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on Win Media 98.9.
Good morning, and how are we all doing this morning? To the regional and international diaspora, I'll start with you today. A pleasant good morning to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Good morning. To those of you in the sound of our voices, we are being broadcast on winnfm 98.9. We are also being simulcast on TVC Channel 40, Facebook, as well as YouTube. Just to remind you, if you wish to join in on the conversation or you have a pressing matter you need to bring to the fore, you can reach us at, in the UK, the number is 0333 440065. In the US, 1-718-285-6984. Our second US number, 1-305-921-4619, and our local number 466-0989. Quint won't be in this morning, so it will be myself, and eventually we'll have someone else's voice that I think you are familiar with. But I just want to say good morning to our usual listeners and those who are joining us for the very first time here on Island T. Good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Isaac. Good morning to Dennis and Javon there in the U.S., as well as Cleo, Skeeta, Kathleen, Gwyneth. Good morning, ladies. Dave Livingstone, it's been a minute. I have not seen you on the live. How are you keeping? To our local listeners, Mishi, good morning. Colin, good morning. Gowan, good morning. Diana H. and Diana L., good morning. Levy Bryan, good morning. Good morning to all. I want to start off this morning with continued hopes that we will hear good news soon concerning Miss Romney. I know I've heard nothing of her being found as yet, but I am hoping that once she is found, that we will get the news so that we can all put this, I want to say, haunting situation to rest. I saw an article that one of our callers alluded to yesterday about people keeping her and knowing where she is. If you know, please tell someone. Let us all, as I heard Mr. Welcome say last night, the tears and the anguish, may they all dry up and turn into happiness, because we need to locate this young lady as soon as possible. So please let us not forget Miss Romney, but let us keep petitioning and advocating that she be found. In other news, I see an article from CNC3, and it says U.S. confirms travel review. St. Kitts and Nevis seeks clarity. And we know when it comes to traveling, that's where most of us go to. So we are concerned and need to know what is our status, whether it's going to affect us being issued visas, or if we're going to have a travel ban, be it partial, or I don't even want to say the next part, but I guess everybody would understand what I'm saying fully. But the article reads as follows. It says the United States has confirmed plans to expand travel restrictions to 36 additional countries, including 4 in the Caribbean, according to a State Department briefing on Tuesday. Spokesperson Tammy Bruce did not confirm any specific countries named in a June 14th Washington Post report, but addressed the policy framework. The Post cited a leaked memo signed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio that reportedly includes Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Lucia among the countries that could face new visa bans or other travel limitations. Bruce said the policy is based on a review of security and cooperation standards, not geography. The actual location of the country is not a factor, she said. They are about very specific aspects, whether or not the United States feel it can trust the information we rely on those countries for to determine whether or not they'll get a visa. The past the Post reported that the memo instructed U.S. diplomats to give the government of the affected countries 60 days to meet updated benchmarks with an initial action plan due by 8 a.m. Wednesday. Concerns reportedly included lack of reliable identity documentation, visa overstay rates, failure to cooperate with U.S. immigration enforcement, and the sale of citizenship without residency requirements. Bruce rejected reports that a deadline had already passed. That's not correct, she said. They will have a considerable amount of time to rectify whatever the situation is that the State Department has determined is affecting the nature of our trust in how we issue a visa. In response to the reports, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis issued a statement on Tuesday denying that it had received any official communication from the U.S. regarding travel restrictions. No official correspondence or communication has been received from the United States government, whether through our embassy, consular representatives, or any other channel, the statement said. It added that the government had taken note of reports now circulating on various platforms and acknowledged that, end quote, the mere circulation of such reports is concerning enough, end quote. The St. Kitts and Nevis government said it is actively engaging its diplomatic and international partners to determine the source, credibility, and veracity of the claims now in circulation, and assured that the protection of our citizens at home and abroad is a top priority. The government also urged the public to rely on official channels for accurate and timely information. Bruce, referencing Executive Order 14161, said the U.S. remains focused on protecting national security through its visa process. We are committed to protecting our nation's citizens by upholding the highest standards of national security and public safety, she said. The Post also reported that countries willing to accept deportees or sign a safe third country agreement could address some of the listed concerns. This follows a June 4th presidential proclamation that introduced full travel restrictions on several countries, including Haiti, Afghanistan, Libya, and Yemen, and partial restrictions on others such as Cuba, Venezuela, and Sierra Leone. Bruce said the Secretary of State will determine which countries remain on the list and confirmed the review process is ongoing. She said, and quote, the goal is that we can all move forward so that people can come to the country. So as the article said, we got no communique, just like I mentioned on a previous show that St. Lucia said they got no communique, but apparently some of what is being circulated may be true, but let's wait and hope and see, and let's hope that the leaders at the top will do what is right to ensure that our country remain in good standing when it comes to the information that is required by these bigger countries that issue visas. And as I said, these are places that we go for vacation, so our home away from home, if you want to call it that. And I think a ban would serve none of us well, because they're going to be missing out on the monies we'll be coming to spend, and we will just have to, we can find alternate routes, but we'll just have to find alternate routes because we see everybody is looking at us, be it Europe, be it Canada, be it the US. Everybody's looking at the countries with the CBI program. As we normally hear, sometimes some questionable persons have our passports. So let's hope for the best. And do I dare to say, let God do the rest? Greg, don't get me, please. And as we continue along this morning's program, I see there's okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T.
And as we continue along this morning's program, I
Hello.
see. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. How are
Morning.
you?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good. It's hot, but I'm good.
Yeah, I saw something about the temperatures being over there being heated.
Oh yeah, we're going up to 100, and I think one today.
Why you sound so like like everything's been drawn out to you already and the morning's just starting?
I'm actually here sitting under my fan. I
Okay.
actually just woke up, so
Okay.
it was too hot to sleep last night.
Oh boy.
Um, no, you're talking about the supposedly travel ban.
Mhm.
I mean, I just Google it, and Google tell me that uh, even though there has not been an official
Mhm.
letter sent to the government of St. Kitts, but we're on a list. Google said yes, we're on the list,
Mhm.
and it's because of the citizenship
By
by
investment, yeah.
investment
Mhm.
program.
Mhm.
So we are on a list. We are being looked at by the government of America.
Yeah.
So even though the letter have not been officially sent to the Prime Minister of St. Kitts, as Google states, the Prime Minister, because Google said how the people talking about it because the letter was leaked.
Yeah, it was leaked, as I would have
So
mentioned
even
before,
Google
yeah.
know the letter was leaked.
Yeah, cause of course, cause the first time I reported on it was when the Saint Lucia Prime Minister said he saw the letter too, but there was no official communication. And then I was wondering when we were gonna hear from our leaders concerning a communique to say, okay, we probably saw the circulation too, but we don't have any official communication from the U.S.
Right. Google say it was leaked from the U.S. So
Yeah,
we're on a list. So keep the antenna up.
yeah,
I guess there's some probably some rules or some things that they're gonna need from us
mhm,
to, I guess, get us off that list.
yeah, because
So
you realize parts of it that I read too said that they're basically getting the passports without residency. So I don't know if they want them to, if we're gonna give or offer passports for sale, that the persons have to live here for a certain time to get the passport by residency, and maybe then they can move on. But if everybody were to come here, as we would have mentioned before, we might be outnumbered because with the
but the
wars
thing,
and stuff that are happening over in that area, and we see Iran recently bombed the U.S. base in Qatar. If we have a lot of Qataris without passport, guess where they're gonna come for shelter?
and God knows we don't want that.
Well, it's not what we
We don't
want.
want that.
It's
We
not
don't
what
want that
we
because we
want.
don't know who Larry person got our passport. Because I don't care how much our government talk about due diligence. We know that's a bunch of malarkey. I don't care what they talk about. They do due diligence. Our passport has been in too much scandal
Boy.
for the so-called due diligence that they do. So we don't want that. We don't know what who they give our passport to.
Yeah. So if,
May God help us. That's
boy,
all we can do.
we gotta keep
May God
praying.
help us.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll call back
Alrighty. You have a good morning.
too.
Thanks. And as I was just before the caller came in, I saw another article, and this one can be found on our WinFM sites. That's winnfm.com, and it says Caribbean CBI program face heightened scrutiny from the European Union, the U.S., and the U.K. So there we go, being in the news again. This article is by Kevin Brown. And it says the landscape for the Citizen by Investment program in the Caribbean is becoming increasingly challenging as both the European Union and the United States intensify their scrutiny while the United Kingdom also maintains its due diligence. These developments raise significant concerns about the longevity and sustainability of these vital economic tools for several island nations. Okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. How are you doing today?
I'm giving thanks for life, and you?
I'm doing better than yesterday. Thank God.
I just heard you spoke about the conflict and the potential for the conflict to be widened in terms of the base in Qatar, which was, I think, was 6 missiles from the Iranian was sent towards that base, which
What?
probably 5 was intercepted and 1 landed elsewhere.
Yeah, but yeah.
But the Iranians, they're not targeting the Qatarian people.
They're
They
not.
are targeting the U.S. base per se, which is happen to be in Qatar.
Yes.
Because they did send a communique saying that, no, we're not targeting, for instance, the way the conflict with Israel and Iran is. That is more like targeted, some restricted targets, but, for the fact that in Iran and also we definitely know in Israel, because there is a hospital, beneath the hospital, the base is a military base. And the way, like Tel Aviv, and the way that they have certain sensitive military infrastructure institutions. They are within the population, urban centers and so forth. And so yes, but that's not the case with Iran targeting the base in Qatar. It's specifically towards that base, because they did say that if the U.S. get involved and target Iran, they will retaliate.
Yeah. We know
Yes,
that for
so
sure. But
yes, okay.
what if things go awry and it gets out of hand? That's what I'm saying. Cause yeah, I know what they're doing. I understand what they're doing. I know they're targeting specifically that, but it's on those persons' soil. What if?
Yes, and if the Qatarian people see fit to leave, right? If things go awry, and say like, if Iran was to target the base again for whatever reason, because it seems like it's a tit for tat, a limited. Okay,
Listen.
I'm gonna call you Potentia. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna pick your mangoes today. You know what I mean? For the tree. You know what I mean? And you're gonna say, okay, all right, because that's what seems to happen.
Yeah.
When Iran was told that they're gonna target Natanz, Fordo, and the other nuclear sites, right? They told the Iranians, and the Iranians had a couple of days to move their enriched uranium, right? And then they bombed the bases, those facilities.
Yeah.
And so Iran gonna say, well, I'm gonna call Trump. I'm gonna retaliate. This is what I'm gonna target.
Yeah.
But it's not nice for the world population.
No.
It seems like they're playing games on their behalf, limited strike towards each other, and they have the world in a quandary.
Yep.
The next thing is the Strait of Hormuz, and if Iran was to close off that, it's not going to be nice, because so many Qatar and other Gulf states up Persian Gulf, they rely on the Strait of Hormuz to get their oil and their natural gas out to the Indian Ocean and further afield.
Let me tell you.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's not nice, but that is one of the strategic advantages that Iran has, because I have been placing emphasis and billing that as like similar to with the Houthis, with the Bab al-Mandeb Strait in the Red Sea. Those are choke points, critical choke points, and as soon as the Iranian authorities, because it was passed in Parliament, as soon as that was passed, oil prices shot up $120 a barrel and so forth.
Yeah. But I don't know if you
Not
remember me.
enacted as yet. It's not enacted as yet, but for the fact that it has been passed in the Iranian Parliament, yeah.
Because we know once fighting starts over there, oil prices do go up significantly, and we feel the brunt of it. And our money stay the same, but everything goes up, and we still have to fight to survive.
Yes, the inflation.
Yeah. Big. I would
Yeah,
have to
because
use a Donald Trump word, bigly, because before you could have gone in the supermarket with $100 and at least come up with 10 things. Now it's less than five, depending on what you buy.
you ladies are the best. You ladies are the best. I will always give you ladies the money to go and shop.
But now we
'Cause
have
if I
to.
go,
But now
if
we
I
have
go,
to
you come
tackle
up with
five,
10,
six
I might only come up with
supermarkets.
2 or 3.
Yeah, but now we have to tackle five, six supermarkets, and all the time we're not contemplating. Okay, yeah, I get cheaper over here for $2, over here for 10 cents less. But what about the gas that we're using to go from supermarket to supermarket? I can guarantee you, and it happens to me once it's my time to shop, that I see the same person in at least two of the three supermarkets that I need to touch to stretch my dollar.
Yeah, one will have to recalibrate. In every space of the economics, you will have to recalibrate, because even to use your petrol, your gasoline, knowing that the price on the pumps is going to go up, you have to say, well, we're going to travel less. You're going to park your vehicle here and walk to one supermarket or what have you, or, in whatever the proximity is, and so forth. Yeah, but it is very precarious. Trump sent out a communique saying that, okay, Iran and Israel agreed to the ceasefire.
But I
and
still
then
see
the
something else
communique
happen.
came out from Iran and saying, no, we did not.
Yeah.
Nothing goes up.
Nothing goes. So yeah, I just read it this morning. I'm like, and now, Africa, Israel, vows to retaliate.
It's going to be always retaliate.
Listen.
And you know what's going to happen? For the fact that I hit you first, Hortensia, you're not going to allow me to hit you, and you not hit me back.
Hit back, yeah.
To say, well, all right. In order to create a level playing field, I hit you first. You is allowed to hit me back, and I should agree on it, and then we just settle it. Israel is not going to hit Iran, considering they hit Iran first, and Iran going to say, all right.
That's
It's
it.
like you're going to have one up on me. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. We're living in a hostile society right now, a very hostile world. It's just sad that we just can't agree to disagree and move it along. And I still don't understand why it is we need these nuclear weapons. Who are we planning to annihilate? Because the fumes and whatever, it might just...
are larger than the other. And there was, well, when it comes to these conflicts, citizens would be asked to stay on alert. There might be drafting. Some reserves in the military will have to stick around. And the Israelis, they're leaving. They're going to Cyprus. They're going to Greece. Of course, those who really have the money to get out, they're getting out.
Yeah.
You know?
What about those who don't?
The land is not so promised as it seems that it was supposed to be the promised land anymore. They're getting out because the people's lives are at risk when it comes to conflict on both sides. So they're getting out. They're going on yachts. They're going on whatever marine craft they can get out on. They're leaving.
Yeah, I guess for their own safety, that's what they have to do, because I was looking at something else last night showing this little boy in the Gaza. Oh my gosh, I felt so bad for him. He was crying. He's so hungry. His little self says he can't walk anymore in his language, and eventually somebody comes and offer to take him somewhere for food.
I think Donald Trump just got the Nobel Peace Prize, and it is very
For what?
egregious to see those.
That's a joke.
What I heard, I'm not quite sure, but I did heard it. It is very egregious though to see all these big nations how they are playing it when they can settle and sit down and settle. Because if Iran is not going to agree to a ceasefire without looking at the Palestinian cause, because it seems like this is one of the greatest things that has caused it. It's not so much because Iran has enriched uranium, because the IAEA, those people who are monitoring the agreement, they know they're not have reached to that point as yet. But it is like trying to break up the bricks, because China rely on 60% of gas, oil from the Persian Gulf as we speak. And if China if China's motivation in terms of their development, their economy gets slow because of they cannot get the 60% to drive their economy. Plus, China already halted exporting the rare earth minerals. Okay, and the rare earth minerals is a very critical component in ammunitions, maintaining ammunitions, maintaining, those ballistic missiles and the like. So here is it, China halting it, and for the U.S. to get, they agreed on the China, they're gonna manufacture them and send them to the U.S. That was a part of the tariff deal. But if China cannot get their oil from the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf, that is what. So they're trying to really break up the BRICS, because the BRICS is such a thorn in the flesh of the U.S. economy and the strength of the dollar, that they're trying all these things. What had happened the other day, Cortenzia, is that when the Russian fighter jets got bombed, because it is law that you have to show your fighter jets on a tarmac, because I have to see when those fighter jets leave, because I have my satellite up there. We are monitoring you. And the U.S. likewise have to fight to the same. Okay? Mm-hmm. That is agreed when it comes to war conventions and the like.
Okay.
So with Ukraine hatching the plan to bomb those fighter jets while they're on the tarmac, bringing over the drones and setting them up in Russia, and then driving the trucks close enough to launch those drones to inflict such damage on Russia. It's something similar to what happened in Iran, because they have intercepted these people who was making drones in Iran that simultaneously target the Iranian sites at the same time when the Israeli jets came over. Okay. That started this new conflict.
Oh boy.
Okay?
Oh.
So you could see the MI5, the MI6, and the Mossad and the CIA, they was in it, orchestrated it, and then the one with Iran failed. Because their intention was to decapitate Iran, create conflict, internal conflict, and create an uprising for, regime change. So Iran is not listening to them, to be honest. I'm not for Iran, I'm not for Israel. But Iran is not listening to them. Iran going to continue to try to take out as much of the military sites in Israel as possible.
Okay. Well, Africa, thank you.
People
you may have to call back because we need to take a break at this moment, right? So you can always call back and we can continue the conversation.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening.
You're welcome. Thanks for your contribution.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Magnum, my brand. Everybody put your Magnum in the air now. From you a drink Magnum, let me see. Take charge of things now your place now. From the river to the beach to the street. Hot Magnum when me have in a me hand there. Give her a sipper, she tell me sweet. Look for me watch for your quick time check. Yeah. Right now a Magnum a for your beat. Enjoy yourself every day of the week with a Magnum. My life I forget sweeter. Must be 18 years and older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Running a business? Closing deals, keeping the books, covering team lunches, that's work. But getting rewarded for it, now, that's a trip. With a new JetBlue business card by CIBC Caribbean, every expense moves you forward. Earn 30,000 TrueBlue points after your first purchase, plus perks like a free checked bag, priority boarding, and more. Make your business a trip with a new JetBlue business card by CIBC Caribbean. Apply today at www.cibccaribbean.com/JetBlue.
Get ready, St. Kitts and Nevis. The momentum continues with Better Opportunity Fair number 2, happening Friday, 27th June at 12 noon on Central Street. Come explore a world of opportunity, from skills training and employment pathways to health screenings, financial advice, and so much more. Meet the experts from Aspire, the Inland Revenue Department, small business operators, and more. all ready to support you. And yes, we're turning up the energy with live entertainment from the one and only Ronnie Rascal. It's access, empowerment, and community, all in one place. Brought to you by the Citizen Security Secretariat. Because together, we're building safer, stronger communities. Don't miss the next Better Opportunity Fair, Friday, 27th June, Central Street, 12 noon.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea as we continue our discussion. And before the caller called, as we were discussing the variant tit-for-tat strikes, etc., I was reading an article titled Caribbean CBI Program Faces Heightened Scrutiny from the U.S., the EU, and the UK. I think I would have gotten as far as these developments raise significant concerns about the longevity and sustainability of these vital economic tools for several island nations. It says, excuse me, the European Union toughened stance on visa-free travel. It says on June 17, 2025, the European Parliament reached a provisional agreement to revise the mechanism for suspending visa-free travel to the Schengen area. The move signals a more flexible and robust approach by the EU to address concerns related to security and human rights. Under the updated rules, new grounds for suspending visa-free status include violations of the United Nations Charter, severe breaches of international human rights or humanitarian law, and failure to comply with decisions of international courts. Furthermore, golden passports or investor citizenship schemes, CBI programs which have consistently raised security concerns, are now explicitly listed as a valid grounds for suspension. The EU also aims to address hybrid threats such as state-sponsored instrumentalization of migrants and a country's lack of alignment with EU visa policy, which could lead to increased unauthorized arrival. These reforms are designed to align the grounds for suspension with the initial reason for granting visa waivers, thereby creating a deterrent effect. The EU can now also target specific government officials and diplomats responsible for human rights breaches, among other violations, rather than affecting the entire population. New thresholds have been established for triggering suspension, including a 30% increase in refused entries, overstays, asylum applications, or serious criminal offenses, and a 20% thresholds for a low asylum recognition rate. It's quite a lengthy article, so for those of you wishing to read, you can do so once again. It's on winnfm.com. I'll read one more part. It says, St. Kitts and Nevis has also enhanced due diligence procedures with multiple independent international firms now performing background checks and additional vetting for high-risk applicants. I don't like how that part reads because it looks like they weren't doing it. It basically insinuates to me that because it reads again, and somebody can tell me if I'm thinking too much, St. Kitts and Nevis has also enhanced due diligence procedures with multiple independent international firms now performing background checks and additional vetting for high-risk applicants. Wow. All right, well, it says also, the end of it, the future of visa-free travel for Caribbean CBI citizens remain uncertain, underscoring the need for continued dialogue and robust reforms with the region. Now, Grenada is part of the OECS, and Grenada is not on that list. So I would like to think that the leaders of Antigua and Barbuda, I want the leaders of Antigua and Barbuda, the leaders of St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and Dominica to have a chit-chat with Mr. Mitchell over there in Grenada to find out what he's doing that keeps him off of that list so we can be off of that list too. I know Mr. McMahon would have said Mr. Mitchell has a more Okay, Mr. Mitchell has a more transparent program. Well, we need to get transparent if that's the case, because us, the citizens, cannot suffer for decisions that are made by the heads. Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Good morning, Cartensia.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
And to all your listeners, I'm blessed in Jesus' name as always.
Amen.
Thank Jesus Christ for that. Yes, so greetings once more in the name of Jesus Christ, the only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, I would like to speak to the Iran issue as well, and, well, I would also like to speak to the CBI issue as well with the visa issue. But first of all, I would like to say, yesterday on Voices, Africa quoted something from some source other than the Bible. And what he quoted was this: "Woe to thee, O land of Gog and Magog, lying between the Ethiopian rivers." You know, I think Africa should have told Quint yesterday that what he quoted was not from the Bible, but from other source, but from some other source, because he had Quint saying that that when I quote scriptures, I don't quote all of it, because he thought what Africa was quoting was from the Bible, but he did not know that it is not found in the Bible, what Africa was quoting. Okay, that is for that issue. Now, the issue concerning the CBI issue and visa and so on. You see, like I said, when we don't do things according to the Bible, things will go wrong. No, and will always go wrong and destructively and to our death in the end. No, as I've said before, and I will say again, the more pressure and demands we make of government to do this, to do that, to own this, to own that, to control this, to control that, organize this, organize that, and buy this and buy that, and all sorts of stuff, to run this and control this, to run that and control that, and all sorts of stuff. We think that government is supposed to be doing everything. What we do not realize is that the more demands we put on government, and the more responsibility government as a result in yielding to the pressure of the people, in increasing their responsibilities and their expenses, is the more government going to have to resort to all sorts of stuff and methods that are not good in order to get the monies that it needs.
What kind of stuff? You care to mention the stuff? You mean the CBI and what else?
Well, government already running schools, roads, and that sort of stuff. Now we want government also to always keep them in good maintenance. We want government to buy this and buy that.
So where do we get the monies
crime?
If we didn't have the CBI? How did St. Kitts survive before the CBI? Remember, I'm not originally a citizen. I started residing here in 1995. So I came here in 1994, but I returned home and then came back. How did St. Kitts survive prior to the CBI?
Well, we survive by taxes and government fees. We survive by taxes and government fees. Okay. That is how the government survived. And the responsibilities was not as much. And even then, the government couldn't take care of their responsibilities. Even then, you had government building in disrepair. You had malls, you had drains and so not being regularly cleaned, and all schools in bad condition. The hospital, oh my, that was in such bad condition. And a lot of other government stuff was in bad condition, out of order condition, and that sort of stuff. And that was back then when government responsibilities were less.
Okay, so with the CBI, those monies help to get you the new hospital that you currently have. Not the newest hospital, but the new hospital, because that one has some age on it. This one has some age on it now. And it helped with the infrastructure and other things like housing, government housing, etc., right?
Yeah, the CBI has been a part of acquiring those, and building them.
So would you say that we throw it away now, or we just do the due diligence, or we throw it away?
Because that has always been my thing. Because as government increase the expenses, guess what? They're going to have to resort to all sorts of bad.
But how is it bad if they do due diligence? Because it brings it. Look, Grenada has it. Grenada isn't on the list at all, caller. At all. Could we not use the expertise, the wisdom, the advice from Grenada to not be on that list and still run a successful program that will benefit the citizens and the residents and everybody else that comes here, tourists or...
Yes, because the more expense you take on because of doing this and doing that, you're going to want the CBI bringing in more and more money to meet your expenses.
Yeah, but do proper due diligence.
No, but in order for you know to have the CBI bringing in more and more stuff, you're going to have to cut all kind of corners to get more passport sales.
What?
And that is why you ain't going to be doing the due diligence, because if you do the due diligence, okay, the sale of passport turnover going to slow down. But here you have pressure being put on you because of increasing government expenses. You need increasing government revenue to come in to meet your expenses. And that is why you're going to end up, because of pressure and that sort of stuff, cutting all kind of corners to increase the turnover sale of passport, and as quickly as possible too.
I understand that, but didn't the Prime Minister made it, he said it was being undersold. He put on a little bit. I saw varying articles that said that may have slowed down some purchase. And they are doing due diligence as well. So...
Yeah, but as pressure increase more and more on them to get more and more government revenue, they're going to have to do things to increase the sale of passports. And that due diligence, is going to even be watered down more if you want your passport to be sold more and more to get extra government revenue to meet your increasing government expenses. There's no, you cannot be having limited government or slowly incoming government revenue. And at the same time, your expenses is increasing tremendously, continually.
I understand.
The two ain't going to match. The two can't match. And the dance going to end up can't pay for the lights.
So we're solely dependent, you would say, on the CBI program in order for our country to be propelled?
No. What I'm saying is that we are doing things wrongly because we are doing things contrary to the Bible. Government is not supposed to be doing all of these things that it is doing, biblically speaking, which wisdom we reject. Because, like I said, the more government does, is the more expensive put yourself in. The more expensive put yourself in is the more and more money you're going to have to be bringing in on an increasing rate.
But I always say to you, who is going to be willing to pick up the slack that government doesn't, when government drops it?
But if government, at the very least, increasingly decrease taxes, government expense, government fees and taxes and that sort of stuff, regulations and that sort of stuff. If government decreasingly do these things, it's going to make it a whole lot easier and more.
How can they do it? We see during the
private sector. Yes, for the private sector.
I want to know how, because we see during the campaign the Prime Minister said it was going to be decreased, but nothing's decreased. Everything is just going up, and it's like they can't help. They're trying, but they can't help.
Yeah, because the mistake the government is doing is that it has not taken away its protectionism from the agents.
Okay.
So even though the government decreased taxes, you are not going to see the proportional result to the customer, because the government have not taken away the protectionism on the agents. So therefore, only the agents could bring in what their agents for to sell. Whereas if the government take away a protectionism from the agents, me and you can also bring in the same stuff and sell them as well. And that would increase competition, and that is when customers now would feel.
Greco, we have we have a second caller. Caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T. Hello? We lost that caller?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning. Good, Burl. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. I have the call like still on.
Good morning.
Hey?
Yeah, I can go ahead now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, me personally, man, I believe our leaders, our politicians rather, they don't really care, man. A lot of persons was objecting to that CBI program in the first place, but we went ahead, we collected a lot of money. The thing is, right, the money that these guys collected, they mismanaged the money. You know how much money they collected from the inception to now? St. Kitts and Nevis should be in tip-top shape. And then now we should have been able to diversify, invest in agriculture, and move away from it. These foreign countries, United States, Europe, and the EU, they are not going to stop. We listen to Kalandri every day almost. And I hope he can call in too, man, because he makes a lot of great points and nobody's listening. Our leaders got to be proactive. They can't be reactive. United States, for instance, right now under Donald Trump, he is reaping havoc on the world.
Yep.
We have seen it happening live. He is not going to stop. 4 years of him. The geopolitics in the world is changing, and we got to change accordingly in the St. Kitts Nevis Federation and the Caribbean. There's a lot of stuff going on, man, a lot of stuff. And we are behind. We are behind time, and we are moving like we are lost. We got to get caught up to speed. You know, with all the money that they mismanaged in St. Kitts Nevis from the CBI, somebody's going to pay for that. Somebody's going to suffer, rather. The citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis are going to suffer.
Oh, because I was just wondering who exactly.
You cannot operate like a junkie man every Friday when you get your paycheck. You go to the strip joint and you go to the bars and spend off your check. You're going to be in the street begging before your next check comes out the next week. So the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, we're going to suffer. Believe that. The politicians, they don't really care. Concerning that Truth Social post by Donald Trump, he says Israel and Iran agreed to a ceasefire. Guess what? I also see he says he wants Iran to stop bombing first. And it seems like until that time of the ceasefire, 4 a.m. of whatever day, I think that was today or tomorrow, they're going to bomb the hell out of each other. It's as if like they got the green light to bomb the hell out of each other until that ceasefire comes up. If that's true. It doesn't seem like that's even true. But as far as the CBI program goes in the Caribbean OECD states, Grenada, Hortensia, I'm going to tell you something right now. Our ambassadors, they know what's going on in Grenada. They know that. They failed to act and go accordingly, like how Grenada is moving. Different than the transparency in the CBI program, I've learned that Grenada has signed a bilateral treaty with the United States in 1986. I found that out Sunday. And just by listening, I found that out. And our ambassadors, they know of that treaty. They could have signed on board with such thing to give us preference or certain protection when it comes to applying for visas for the United States. So now Grenada is not on that list because of such things. And Grenada has, I understand, they have a preferential treatment when it comes to them applying for visas from the United States.
Yeah, that I know.
And they do actually get a different visa. And it's based off of that treaty they signed with the United States. The treaty entails protecting investors from both countries in terms of persons from the United States coming to Grenada to invest and back and forth. I don't remember the name of that treaty, but it protects the investors from both countries. And that has put Grenada in a advantageous position. You know what I mean? If those citizens overseas who got we call them the economic citizens, they're reaping havoc on the natural born citizens. There's a gentleman that I hear, he says that every Monday and Thursday night on another program. The economic citizens is reaping havoc on the natural born citizens. We in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, we got to pay attention to what's going on in our own country. And as far as the premier goes, I heard him state in Parliament that he's encouraging persons who already got our passports to move into the Federation. So these politicians of the day, they don't really care about us. They don't really care about the indigenous people and the locals. If we allow, or if those persons were to start moving into the Federation, then guess what? We're going to be overrun. They're going to control the political affairs of the country. They're going to be influential to the local politicians on the ground.
But I don't understand. When I hear they're going to control the affairs of the country, how are they going to control it?
By the influence, by lobbying. You see how the National Rifle Association in America is controlling that type of stuff in this country? By lobbying. These big companies and corporations, they have clout in Washington, D.C.
But you think...
And when it comes to like campaign financing, they contribute to some of these politicians' campaigns. And you hear McMahon talk about this stuff every day. Campaign financing and the need for reforms. And we're not getting the reforms that's necessary. Everything is the Constitution seems to be faulty in St. Kitts Nevis. And if the Constitution is faulty, then everything under it will be faulty as well. The judicial system is in a mess and cleaning up as well. And those are big things in the country. Our judicial system needs to be updated. Cases are so backlogged, and we need to get the judicial system up to speed. The persons in authority, they need to be doing their job. A lot of persons under the Prime Minister, they're not doing their work. And if I was the Prime Minister, I would do an overhaul. And whenever I find people are not doing their work and performing, I would terminate them. A lot of the advisors he got around him, he should move them from there. And I am going to say it again. We should probably get a state visit by Irfan Ali. Hortensia, won't you be happy to see your Prime Minister, your leader, rather than you flying back to Guyana?
That would be the case. But even if I go to Ghana, I don't think... go ahead.
You may not see him still. You may not see him still if you go there, right?
Yeah.
But a state visit by Irfan Ali will probably do St. Kitts and Nevis good, where we should probably have some bilateral arrangements with them as well. Find out why and how they have now become self-sufficient in food, and that should be one of our agenda. We need to invest in agriculture and bring our agriculture sector up to speed. And over in Nevis, big up to the one named Banky. The man showed me some videos yesterday of Indian Castle where he had a project going on there. He was successful at it, and he moved away from that project. He's no longer there, and the project is now failing. And that is ridiculous. The plants and dams that this man put there are now being neglected and are drying up. And I asked him a question, is water at the facility? He says yes. But guess what? Bad mind is the word that he used. He says that they have turned the water off and not watering the plants. So the plants are now drying up and being neglected. The project is a failure. And that's a shame, man. And I just wanted to big up to the man, Banky. Keep progressing and pushing on your own personal work, bro. Keep up that Mansa farm over there in Cades Bay. And good luck to you guys, man. I wish the Federation the best going forward. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. See, that's why we need people like you to run, but you don't want to give up that blue book and come home and run with your regular blue book. We need folks like you.
Guess what? Under some great advice that I got, never going to do that easily, Hortensia. I know where my future lies. Believe that. I'm going to stay in this country and secure my future. Coming home is not guaranteed.
Wow.
And until when I see that our leaders start changing the Constitution and making changes that the people need and asking for, then I stay put here until then. I can contribute in other ways, believe it or not. And I'm already contributing already.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Okay.
My ideas are coming across to these areas every day almost.
Okay.
And I just want to say to the Prime Minister, keep doing his best and be mindful of the people around him and the way how he moves going forward. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you for your contribution as usual.
Yeah, Katense?
Hi.
Yes, what I was saying is that if we were doing things, okay, the scriptural way, at least the overwhelming vast majority of things that the government is now doing, that if they were done by the private sector, okay, in a free market capitalist economy, these things like CBI answer would not be needed. And it would not have been a dark cloud over our head that America and Europe and so is dangling over us to control us.
Yeah. Okay, but you that have a little knowledge, or let me not say a little, you that have wisdom and knowledge in terms of taxes, how would our taxes, as we continue to grow, because, you know, the community and we had growth in the federation, we all evolved, what taxes could we have collected that would have had us in the position that we are in today had we not had the CBI program that is, I don't want to say causing us grief, but causing us some form of pinch. We have a little pinch nerve with that because it's causing us some kind of agony, because us as citizens and residents, we're on the edge wondering, well, let me say citizens because the residents will have their country's passports. It has us on the edge wondering, will we be banned? Will we not be banned? Will I get a visa if I go back? Yeah.
Attention. The only way to get out of this mess is to listen to the wisdom of the scriptures, okay?
But caller, we know that's not going. I don't want to say it's not going to happen, but that's the case. It's not going to happen because most of our leaders are not Bible ingrained.
Huh? Yeah, I cannot give you any other solution.
Well, then I need you to run.
That's the only
I
solution.
need you to run for government then, so you can.
That's the only solution. No. I wouldn't be doing that.
See,
I wouldn't be doing that.
We have all these ideas, but nobody wants to take up the mantle. Yet we say our politicians are recycled. We're trying to get new ones.
No, if I am in government, the whole system would have to go, and we would have to be doing things according to the Bible.
Okay,
only.
Well, that's what we
will
need.
have to be doing things according to the Bible only, which the Bible says is the way of life and prosperity. That is how things would have to go.
Okay.
Anyhow, thank you for the time, Colenso. And hold on, before I go, let me say quickly as well. Things like the prison system, things like government enforced taxation, things like the government welfare system, all of them are just different forms of slavery. And all who are for those things they do not know, but they are for different forms of slavery because they're all different forms of slavery. Government welfare system, government enforced taxation, the government prison system.
Okay.
As well. Thank you very much, Katensa. God bless.
Thank you. God bless as well. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Kids and neighbors, it's time to celebrate! We're raising our glasses and saying cheers to 20 years as your trusted telecommunications provider. And because we love our amazing customers, we're giving you the chance to win. Every week, we've got exciting prizes just for you. And that's not all. Step into a cash vault for a shot at $2,000 in cash. To qualify, switch to Digicel, activate a 3-day plan or higher, pay your bill in full, sign up for postpaid or a new Digicel Plus internet package. Stay connected, keep enjoying the best service, and get ready to win. 20 years strong, and we're just getting started. Visit a Digicel retail store today. Ready to save while you build? Now you can at Builder's Paradise. Yes, shoppers, build up your Value Club points at Builder's Paradise. That's right, Value Club members and shoppers, your favorite frequent buyer club is now available at the home of hardware and more. Whether you're laying tiles, painting walls, replacing doors, upgrading windows, or fixing up your home, every purchase at Builder's Paradise now earns you Value Club points. Enjoy exclusive benefits like discounts on thousands of items, special savings for seniors, instant deals, quarterly rebates, plus an extra up to 2% off every quarter. Shop more, save more, earn more, only at Builder's Paradise. Don't miss out. Start building your rewards today with Value Club at Builder's Paradise, because every bolt, board, and brush brings you closer to bigger, better savings. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready, St. Kitts and Nevis. The momentum continues with Better Opportunity Fair number 2, happening Friday, 27th June at 12 noon on Central Street. Come explore a world of opportunity, from skills training and employment pathways to health screenings, financial advice, and so much more. Meet the experts from Aspire, the Inland Revenue Department, small business operators, and more, all ready to support you. And yes, we're turning up the energy with live entertainment from the one and only Ronnie Rascal. It's access, empowerment, and community, all in one place. Brought to you by the Citizen Security Secretariat. Because together, we're building safer, stronger communities. Don't miss the next Better Opportunity Fair, Friday, 27th June, Central Street, 12 noon.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we're back on Island Tea. We have a call in waiting, so caller, go ahead. You're live on Island Tea. Good morning.
Good morning, Hortensia.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. It's Quint.
He is not in today, as I would have mentioned
okay.
earlier, but he'll be back tomorrow.
Right.
Don't worry. But I won't be here tomorrow, though.
Okay. If all Greg has to offer is that we should do things the Bible's way, then what is the point? Let him open a church. That is what I think. Or as you say, go and run.
Yeah, he should
promulgate his ideas.
Yeah.
Because that's not helping us. That's not helping. No. That's not a practical way to help us now. We're faced with a situation, as you said, where our leaders obviously are not going to do what he says.
Exactly.
Okay. Right? And so what do we do in that case? Do we throw our hands up, or do we try to have another way of trying to get our leaders to do the right thing? Right? So it's really banging your head against a wall if you're going to just get up and say, do things the Bible way. Yeah. Okay, we heard you. We know that you're an advocate for that way of thinking.
Yep.
Then what? Then what? How do you achieve your aims? Because you're not going to achieve it by simply talking, right? I would prefer, and I guess he might say the same thing with anybody else who do advocacy on any particular difficulty that we have, okay? The talk. But at least they're offering a practical solution.
Yeah.
His is not practical. That's the bottom line.
Because they're not going to study. They're not going to study what he's saying, because they're going to be like, "How is that going to work?" As a matter
of fact, they probably they know what he's going to say, and so they're probably going to get turned off anyway. They tune out as soon as it starts.
Immediately, yeah, that's what.
Yeah,
that's
you know,
why he would definitely have to be in there for that to go according.
Yeah, absolutely. But what is possible, okay, is that we know that generally people are concerned, including the leaders, the political parties, they are concerned with governance issues, how things are done in government, okay? And they would tell you that all of them, to the last man, would tell you they believe in good governance, in transparency, in accountability, in openness in government, and all of that. Okay? The problem is the implementation. It's the practice of it. And that is where I think we have to hold them accountable. the opposition, for instance, they're not making much traction going from day to day, talking about criticizing how government responds to a lot of things, or government's policy and a lot of things. That, I think, it's necessary, but it does not move the ball very far in the direction that it needs to go. What we absolutely need to get right is our governance system. So that, because if you look at a lot of the problems we've been having over the years up to now, is because we have not reached the level of governance that we need.
But we say it on the trail, right? We say it on the campaign trail. But why is it when we are now in the house, it's something totally different and we don't live up? Because, you know, a lot of people like to pull up old campaign videos and all these things around the world. I'm not just talking about St. Kitts in general. But why is it when we spew all of these nice things during the campaigns and then we go in and we can't live up to what we said?
But that is, we know that there's that tendency to fall short, because when they go in, they don't want to be under no scrutiny. They don't want people to be telling them. Fire. Right. They don't like it. Okay? And one of the reasons they don't like it, you know, it was interesting when I heard, for instance, the Prime Minister talking about the deal that Harris had with Christopher Harbour. And he's saying it was such a bad deal. Okay? It was such a bad deal that something nefarious must have been going down, you know, to make a deal like that. Okay? Something as if intimating that, well, there was some under the table something going on. Okay? If he could come to that conclusion, right? Yeah. Then how is it that when people criticize the deals that the current government would make, the secrecy of them, and those that we know of, the fact that they've fallen short, then shouldn't we come to the same conclusion as he did? Yeah. Unless there is open and transparent and accountability in government, you're not going to have anything different, and that is where the opposition comes in. Our opposition is not working properly. Like I said, to me, they come over with some wishy-washy criticisms. Go to the meat of the matter. Hold the government accountable, like, for instance, the Public Accounts Committee, right? I don't hear them talking a thing about that, right? When a Public Accounts Committee is supposed to be able to go into government departments and get information on what they have been doing, so that we know that things are being done correctly. But the opposition are very silent on that. And I suspect it's because when they get in, they're probably not going to want the scrutiny either. Right? and that is why, I don't know, you have to come up with some way whereby I would like to see the political parties, when they produce their manifestos and say exactly what they're going to do, there is some, I don't know if the lawyers can draw up some kind of agreement that if I don't do this, then I resign. You know, then is when, huh?
No, I said, I doubt anybody would ever put that in there.
Oh, well, if they don't, then you shouldn't be a candidate, should you? Right? Because it's something as simple as that. All it's asking is that I'm going to keep my promises, right? And if they are unprepared to actually do that, then it should not be taken. They should not be taken seriously. Okay. You know, that is something as dramatic, I think, as that is needed. Yes, it's going to be tough for some of them to do it, but some of them would. Okay, and then we'll know for sure there's something legally binding for them to carry out, to do the things that they said they would do. And as you said, you know, they know what's wrong, They know what they should be doing when they're outside of government. When they get in there,
Yeah.
it's a different kettle of fish.
Yep.
And
See?
this would definitely keep them accountable. I think that's probably the way to go.
But I asked Greg a question. I'm going to ask you that too. If we didn't have this CBI program, okay, before we join the next caller, let me ask you the question. If we didn't have the CBI program, how far did you think we would have gotten in the Federation in terms of growth and development? Because Burl always said, with the amount of money that we made, we should have been in tip-top shape, which we are not, especially in our healthcare industry. Where would we have gotten the money from?
I've always said from the beginning, I still remember the first time I actually called in on radio, and it was about that in particular, our CBI. Okay, the previous Labour government was still in power, and I said, listen, we should be asking for accountability in what is done with the money. We shouldn't criticize we shouldn't take the side. Then I think is when they were considering the FinCEN's advisory, and there was the Magadam issue and all of that. Okay, and I said, listen, we do not want to destroy the program because it's a cash cow for us. Okay, so our criticism should be about how the money is used. Not that we collect the money, right? How the money is used. And that, I think, is the problem. A lot of money was involved, and a lot of it seemed to have been siphoned off somewhere in all over the place, okay? And as a result of that, we were left essentially with crumbs to develop. And we really, with
okay,
with
caller?
the kind of figures they call in.
Okay, hold on, Mr. McMahon. Caller, go ahead. They gone?
Hello?
Okay, go ahead, Mr. McMahon. Caller, you can always call back. I just wanted Mr. McMahon to answer a question for me.
With the kinds of monies that they've been calling, we should have been in a better place if the government was held accountable with how they spend the money. They were accused of the then opposition of having a slush fund. A slush fund, by its very name, suggests that, man, you're just spending money while and not thinking about how you're spending it and not spending it in the most effective way. You're just spending it to gain advantage for yourself. Okay? There was always that criticism.
Okay.
And
hold on, caller.
Yeah.
Caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T.
Yes. Good morning.
Go ahead.
I'm listening to Mr. McMahon, right?
He's on still, so you can direct your
He's talking about accountability and the opposition. And the opposition do the same thing you do, Mr. McMahon, just talk. At the end of the day, right, when it comes to accountability, the only way that the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis can hold the government accountable for anything is on election day. You talk, but when it comes to election, you still vote for them. What's the purpose? What's the point?
No.
You still put them back in power.
Actually, she heard my suggestion about having a legally binding agreement for the manifesto.
Yeah, that if they don't fulfill, they have to go. He said they can add that to maybe something that we can put into the electoral reform.
Okay, when it comes to the manifesto, right? Everybody put what they're going to do in a manifesto.
You heard what
And
Mr.
again-
McMahon asked caller? He said if you would go along with the point, because he mentioned that if they said they're going to do something, they should write something in that says, if we don't do this, like if they plan to build a hospital in 2 years, and if they don't do the hospital in 2 years, they should be voted out. He asked if you agree with that, because I don't know if you're hearing him.
Well, that sounds all good and dandy, but if that's the case, everybody we won't have a government because then if you go, let's be realistic. We don't expect you to fulfill everything you say you're going to do in your manifesto at one time. But the point is, they don't go and try to fulfill anything.
Oh boy.
And again, you cannot set accountability one whole. The only way the citizen can hold the government accountable is on election day, because after the election day, all we do is bang with mouth, talk. The government ain't even listening to you. They're just laughing. Talk. And when it comes round to election again, the same person you were complaining about, the same issues are still there, but you go in the poll and you vote for them the same way. What's the point? Does that make sense? Am I making sense, Gatensia?
You are, but because I hear people say right now, who are we going to vote for? Because they said the yellow people not ready, the orange people just talking. So they say the best person to vote for. Wait. Let me finish, no? They say the red people are the ones that are making more sense right now, right? So I don't know.
If the red people is the one who are making more sense now, why are there so much complaint? You see that?
But you have to complain if they're not doing something wrong. Because in every relationship we complain. Even in friendship, if your friend is the one that taking, you'll be like, I don't want to go out with this friend no more because this friend very advantageous. In the marriage, if it's you doing everything, you're going to still complain. So we have to complain to get better, right? Or as Mr. McMahon would say, hold their feet to the fire.
To say that the yellow people are not ready. The yellow people have not been in government since Kennedy Simmons. Because the collision, you see me, the collision, I don't even go with that, because that was practically a one-man.
But they had more people in that collision. They had more people.
They had more. Listen, they had more people, but then you put a red to be the head. Even though he changed his
no,
shirt
orange.
to orange, he was still red. He may change his color of his shirt, but he was still red.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So that collision thing there, I don't count that as Pam was in power.
But they
I don't count it, because a red was the prime minister, and they still had to wait on him for anything and everything.
Yeah. But
have a good day.
Listen.
Give the yellow a chance.
The yellow didn't give themselves a chance.
Let them prove them, because
they didn't give themselves a chance. As you rightfully said, they put a red in charge.
Now is a whole totally different set of people. Give them a chance and let them prove themselves. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
It all come down to the public. Only we can hold the government accountable, and the only way you can do that is an election day. Have a good day, guys.
All right. Thank you for your contribution. But you see, I blame the yellow people. They had the majority, and they still let, as you rightfully said, the red turn orange lead them. They could have... Go ahead, Mr. McMahon.
The problem, Cartens, here is that elections is every 5 years. A lot of damage can be done in 5 years. Okay? That is why some people call for changing the Constitution to allow for recall of people when they're not doing a good job, etc., etc. All right? But what I'm saying is, I don't mind the parties getting the 5 years to pursue the agenda, right? But if you do not fulfill it, it should be automatic that you're out of there. Don't let them come with no fancy nothing at the end of the 5 years, or a lot of money, as was said. You know, just use money to buy off the electorate. Don't let them come after that and win another election. I'm saying, if you have a manifesto, right, and you do not fulfill what is in the manifesto, then you're automatically out of there, right?
But can they fulfill everything in the 5 years like the previous caller mentioned? Can they do everything in the 5 years, and knowing that now we depend solely on the CBI and things are slow, how can they complete everything in the 5 years?
Well, the thing is, what it does is make sure that what they present in the manifesto is realistic. They don't come with no highfalutin promises that they know will not be fulfilled. Okay, some key areas, right, that they put in the manifesto that they will definitely do. We want them done, and if they're not done, they're out of there. Right? I agree that things can change in between, right, and account can be taken for that, right. But don't tell me that you're going to do something in 2 years. Or 3 years, and after that, it's not done, and there's no explanation for it, and you come back to me and tell me, well, I deserve another chance. You had your chance.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had your chance. I know that it probably won't be a popular thing for the parties to do, to actually not just put what they'll do on paper, but actually hold themselves accountable to it. Okay? They probably balk at that idea. But it's certainly one of the ways that you can make sure that things are done how they should be done. And it's certainly in terms of the governance questions, right, where they go in and essentially do what they like pretty much in government. I think that it would at least put a damper on that, where they just feel that within the 5 years, they can just do as they like. Okay? I think that is exactly what needs to be checked. You know, I'm sure, Cartensa, you've worked in places that have had appraisals every quarter, perhaps.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well.
But what can our appraisal do? Because it's just gonna. Do you think our appraisals would help them pull up their socks? Because that's something else we could add too.
Yes.
Other than the clause.
Yes, but the thing is, though, in the appraisal system that you and I are accustomed to, right? If you get a bad review, there are consequences. Okay, if you see what I mean. So we would have to put, even if we give them, if we appraise them every year, then if there are no consequences, we're still back to square one. There has to be some kind of consequence, right? And you could also, there are other things you can do, innovative things you can do. You can say, for instance, just like in the private sector, where you have bonus opportunities, exactly what you're going to achieve in let's say, again, a given year, it's divided down. If you achieve this, you get this % of that bonus opportunity, etc. If you don't achieve them, you just don't get the bonus opportunity, right? So, for instance, they went and give themselves this huge raise. Okay, I would have preferred if they had given themselves a bonus opportunity, so that if they get their salary, and I'm not saying that the salary should be a pittance. That's one of the things that they gave the impression of, that they weren't working for decent salaries. They were.
Okay, Mr. McMahon, we have to take a break. So if you could just round it up for us before we go to the break.
So all I'm saying is that at the end of their term, they have this bonus, huge bonus. Okay, if they get re-elected, then they get the bonus. And because if they get re-elected, it means that the citizens decided that they did a good job, right? If they don't get re-elected, then they don't get the bonus, right? They just get their pay during the time that they were in service. That would be another way, a practical way of doing it. But again, getting that in the law, in our constitution, might be a problem.
Yep.
Okay then.
All right. Thank you for your contribution.
Found the South 98.9
Get ready to stretch your way into the ultimate festival experience. The Sinkers Music Festival is calling, and so are some serious prizes. Spend $25 or more on any scratch tickets to win a season pass and a night stay at Park Hyatt, a season pass and a night stay at Sinkers Marriott Resort, and a season pass and a White Sands ticket. That's right, spend $25 or more on any scratch tickets to win. Available at all Caribbean lottery retailers island-wide. You must be 21 and over to play.
On Sunday, June 29th from
from 4 p.m., Carabola Beach Club transports you to Destination France for White Sands Parisian Soiree, featuring the white swimsuit competition. Spitmasters DJ Smudge and DJ Terra out of Circuits and Nevis, DJ MJ of Dominica, Travis World and Loves out of Trinidad, and Bishop Escobar of Jamaica. Captivating performances by Sugar City's very own Lucas H.E. and David House and This Dimension. Appearing for the first time in St. Kitts, Dancehall Aunties Jamaica. Performing his biggest hits, Jamaican dancehall sensation, Rock. And bringing the energy from Trinidad, Miguel Tasia. White Sands will be hosted by top DJ and radio personality Sweet Sister Sensia and Jamaican radio host DJ Spark. Tickets are just $120. Pay $150 at the door. For online tickets, visit CarabolaBeachClub.com. It's a French affair on Sunday, June 29th at Carabola Beach Club for the summer's hottest all-white party. White Sands Parisian Soiree.
I ain't got no hurricane safety tips now. Well, Skelett got, and together we can weather the storm. So, check this. Prepare for power outages. Charge devices before a storm strikes. Develop a plan in the event that electricity goes. Learn where and how to shut off your home's electricity. Ensure that there are no trees in the lines near you. If you are experiencing low voltage, turn off the main switch in your home. Do not touch wet appliances. You feel only Nima can give safety tips? Well, Skelett can too. So be sure to stay tuned to Skellett's Facebook page and website for updates about the outages and restoration. For emergencies, our contact numbers are 465-2013, 661-2013, and 600. I repeat, 465-2013, 661-2013, and 600. Remember, with Skellett's hurricane safety tips, together we can weather the storm.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea, and I just saw an article here on Caribbean Times, and it's by Dr. MacArthur Brown, and it speaks to what we are talking about this morning. A Nation for All, Ending Political Division and Restoring People-First Leadership. A compassionate call for unity, fairness, and real progress in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's pretty lengthy, so I'm just going to pick out the pertinent parts. It says, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. I think Greg would like this one. This noble principle is echoed in the hearts of citizens across our beloved federation. Our national motto reminds us to put country above self, a powerful ideal that has shaped our national identity, yet another vital truth, too often ignored, is called to put people above politics. Until we embrace this fully, the dream of true national unity will remain elusive. For decades, politicians have promised justice for all and a government for all, but who does all really include? Time and time again, it seems that only a select few benefit, those aligned with political power, whilst others are sidelined, silenced, or even punished. The people of this federation enter every election cycle with hope. Hope that regardless of political affiliation, the elected government, be it federal or Nevision, will honor its sacred promise to serve all its citizens. But too often, once in office, those elected to serve change. And while change can be positive, it is frequently accompanied by arrogance, division, and exclusion. Caller, go ahead. You're live on Island Tea.
Yeah, my contribution to that discussion there is, I believe if you mix red and yellow together, you're going to get orange.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody could tell me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those three colors, it seems like they're toxic. They're toxic.
What?
And they all was in there already before.
Yeah.
And Sean Richards and Mark Brantley, they made a political blunder. Man, even a 5-year-old in kindergarten knows about majority rule.
Exactly. I would have gotten help.
How can you give Timothy Harris prime ministership with 1 seat?
Boy.
And come back again and do it with 2 seats.
Boy.
That's why.
I would have asked for help. I was going to lead.
A popular caller, that they got a popular caller on Freedom FM in the afternoon. He says that's one of the reasons why he's giving Dr. G a lot of props. The man take prime ministership right away.
Yeah, although he's green, he has his people to help him, be it whether they're helping him for good or not. And same thing I just told someone on the chat. I would have asked for help.
Yeah,
There's no way I have 6 or more than you and you leading. No way.
The prime minister is red.
Yeah.
The prime minister is red.
As Cleo said, no matter what it is, he's red.
So somewhere along the line, Mark Brantley and Sean Richards, they didn't have the confidence in themselves. And I've understood that Sean not only had 1 chance to be prime minister, he had 2.
Yeah, but
according to that caller on Freedom FM. You know, the place is toxic, man. I wish the independent-minded person would come forward, because it's a need for independent people to step in the ring and come forward, because all these politicians, man, no exceptions for me, Cartencia. I don't care which party that they represent them. No exception. They've all been in there ready. And this is something big that the electorate's going to have to think about.
But nobody else is coming to the fore to lead. This is why it is so recycled, because some people don't want the headache.
So guess what?
And some people just can't, like yourself and a couple others, because you're not willing to give up what is beneficial to you to benefit others, because you have excellent ideas. But
I got some barriers around me, and guess what? I personally know what's beneficial to me. Nobody can tell me what's beneficial for me. I'm the man in country with that.
Yeah.
I'm an independent-minded person.
Yep.
And I'm an independent thinker. And I thank a big brother of mine in New Jersey that I talk to almost 3-4 times a day. You know, he is one of the persons that are responsible for molding me. He's like a big brother to me. And he knows who he is. He's listening. And I'm going to thank him a lot this morning for really taking me under his belt. Because I have older brothers, but guess what? They never stepped up and be a big brother to me. And I'm thanking that person in New Jersey. He knows who he is. He's listening this morning. And, yeah, I may have good ideas, but I have barriers around me that need to be removed. And I'm pushing to get those barriers removed. It might not benefit me, but it will benefit somebody else down the line.
Along the future, yeah.
Yeah. You know, you see when Rosa Parks stand up and took a stance in that bus and didn't give up her seat? That's what I'm doing right now to get the Brian clause removed. Every citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis needs to enjoy all their fruits of their citizenship. No discrimination. You know about the game of cricket. Each cricket team has a wicket keeper on it. And there's no way they could tell me about allegiance and loyalty to St. Kitts and Nevis. Do we see what these politicians' behaviors are over all of these 41 years? None of them have allegiance and loyalty to St. Kitts and Nevis. They need to go home. They don't have.
But who's going to take up the mantle if they go home? We don't have people brave enough, or people that want the headache.
Well, and that's what I'm on here for. I'm trying to energize and encourage people. And of course, whoever is talking about the opposition, like Mike Mahan is, the opposition, they're not really working. They're not doing their job on a daily basis. The people who is agitating is us on these radio stations. And if the leaders of them, if the politicians, them not going to make the changes for the people need to go in the streets. It's not going to happen any other way, because look how we've been independent since 1983. These guys, they ain't even take off a cross on a T or add a cross on a T or take off a dot off of an I or add a dot on an I with that Constitution. And it's been 41 years. It's been how much years this year now? 42 years this year?
40. Yeah, I think it's 42, or it could probably be more. Let me just do some math here.
42 years at least. 42 years at least this year.
42, yeah.
We ain't seen no changes. We're not seeing no changes happening in St. Kitts and Nevis to benefit the people.
Mm-hmm.
And the people got to understand that. The people in them got to wake up.
Yeah.
We have the power in our hands. Did we see all of those No Kings protests in the United States? Guess what? Donald Trump, somewhere along the line, he's going to start changing his policies sooner or later because he cannot deny the cry of the people. No. And I'm telling you, the first time I see a real protest going on in the streets of St. Kitts and Nevis, I guarantee the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, the government going to start changing. They're going to start making changes in their policies. Mm-hmm. The people them just need the courage. They don't have the courage in St. Kitts and Nevis on the ground. We are cowards. We need to stand up. Equal right and justice for all. If you guys in St. Kitts and Nevis on the ground, if you guys don't get up off your butts when you all are so displeased about the performance of the government, there is no framework in place to recall them. So the only thing that we can do prior to an election, like Cleo said, the only time we can really move these guys is when that 5th year comes up and the election is called. And there is no framework in place to remove them.
But did you hear the clauses that Mr. McMahon suggested should be added?
I agree with that because that's part of reform.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Labor had signed something, I think was integrity or whatever.
Okay, Burl, let me join. We have a second caller. Let me join that caller. Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Yes. One last intervention, Hortensia. It seems as if everybody agrees that the opposition is weak, okay? And when we come with these ideas, what they should be doing is listening and try to incorporate them in their agenda. Because if right now so many people are feeling they're all the same, they have to make themselves different from the pack and look at the big picture rather than concentrating on little things, little policy things up and down the place. Concentrate on a bigger picture that would inspire people to say, well, they're different, okay? And that is what needs to happen. The opposition needs to come up with a bigger picture that the whole of the country can galvanize around and say, okay, they are going to do things differently. And show it, right? Yeah. Show it. And once that happens, I think it will start to make a difference in our political landscape. So that's all, right? When we talk, hopefully somebody listens, somebody realizes that, well, right now we're in real terrible shape, mm-hmm. and we have to do something that's going to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And that is what it should be about, getting the change that we need, right? And giving people the confidence that you can deliver that change. Because right now, you're not getting I don't think people are getting disillusioned. People feel that, well, nothing's going to change, right? You're going to continue the politics the same way. Somebody, some opposition party, some opposition leader have to break out from the pack with something dramatic, something different, okay, for us to support them. Put it that way.
Okay.
Okay, then.
Thank you. Bro, what do you say to that?
I'm Cortez here. Guess what? He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right, and he's absolutely correct. Just as well we are complaining about the opposition leader ain't doing his job in the parliament. So guess what? The opposition parties that's trying to get in, they got to now hold the government's feet to the fire. He is absolutely right. And because of the failures to do that, guess what's going to happen? The government is going to stay in power. You will not move back the Jews party like that. You will not move this current government in St. Kitts and Nevis like that, because guess what? He has an ace card in his pocket. Mark Brantley over in Nevis that could still potentially grab 3 seats over there. So if the government loses 3 and maintains 3, he can still call in Mark Brantley. And I guarantee you see how cordial him and Mark relationship is? We ain't seen them having any public disputes. And then on the public, wrangling. And it's a reason why for that. It's a reason why for that. Anyhow, Oswald and Nubian and those younger guys do not go in the street and mobilize the people as oppositions and break away from the pack. McMahon just said, guess what? I'm sorry to say this morning, the government will be staying in power. You cannot move any combat government like that.
Yeah.
That's my contribution for the morning, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. And we see that
You got to mobilize the people.
Yeah, we see you're very passionate about that.
The
Well,
opposition has to, on a daily basis, when we come on here and talk about the issues, the national issues, we're not talking about any party issues, national issues like that Christoph Harbour issue that was on the airwaves recently. We ain't seen none of these people go in the street. None of these opposition went in the street and mobilized the people. If any one of these opposition parties on both islands want to move that current government, they cannot move the government like how they're operating right now. They've got to mobilize. And that's my contribution, man. I really wish the people of St. Kitts is the best going forward. Thanks a lot. And if you all think you're going to move Dr. Jew like that, guess what? It's not going to happen. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, caller, for your contribution. And I really hope that the powers that be is listening and that they are going to do something about it, because a lot's going on. I even see another headline here, and I'll continue the reading of that article, but I'll go to this headline. It says here, new pension plan under fire. Harris calls it unfair at recent town hall. And it says the recently passed Pension Amendment Bill 2025 intended to introduce a contributory pension plan for government auxiliary employees and other civil servants has drawn sharp criticism from the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, leader of the People's Labour Party. Dr. Harris, who previously served as Prime Minister from 2015 to 2022, leading the Team Unity Coalition, has publicly stated that the new pension plan is not for the people, it is for the political elite. During a recent town hall meeting, the former Prime Minister suggested that ordinary workers are being asked to give more and get less, while top officials walk away with padded benefits. One of the speakers before me, and I'm wrapping up now, spoke to the whole issue of unfairness in the civil service. Nowhere is it more demonstrated than in the new pension plan. Imagine under this new plan, which they wanted to force down the throat of civil servants, requiring them to work 40 years before they can qualify for maximum pension. Under the existing one, you could go 29 years and 11 months. Wow. And you get your benefits and you go at 55. Okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T.
Yeah, man. Greetings and love, you know.
Hi.
Yes. Politics. Just strictly politics it upon today.
You want to touch on something else? It's not that we're strictly on politics.
No, I'm just asking.
No. No, it's not that we're strictly on that. That just seems we started one topic and then the entire thing continued along that vein.
Surely. I got some questions. Now, where did we get this political system that we govern ourselves with from? Where did it come from?
Where did the political system come from? I would want to say it trickled down from slavery, and they just put varying reforms in place.
Okay. You know, slavery, the system of slavery and the treatment of the slave, all of this, the colonialism, everything. Was it something just? Was it something fair?
No.
Right. So then now this system, because remember we inherit this political system from these times. Now this system isn't fair neither. Right? Because the system they use to run the business.
Yeah.
Right? So our people, when they take part in it, they end up becoming unfair people because that's what the system gone mold you into. Even though you wasn't so, right? Even though you wasn't corrupt, you can end up being corrupt when you go in it, right? Now, we ask ourselves, if not politics, because I'm still looking for something great that politics do, or politics intend to do. And the more I look, is like, the more I seeing like destruction coming, you know what I mean? Because all the wars in the world today, it's politics doing it.
Yeah,
it's government, men who supposed to know better. Government is who cause these things, right? They're playing with people's life, you know what I mean? And it's like we the people must go and like be responsible for ourselves because our first government is ourselves, you know. You're supposed to govern yourself.
Yeah.
Now, the Bible show you that. You know what I mean? Your government is up on your shoulder. And the thing up on your shoulder is your head.
Yeah.
Right? So you as a sovereign person, and we must look at ourselves in these light. Don't just look at ourselves as a citizen of country. We're somebody. God make us somebody. All of us is somebody.
Yeah.
So if you have a system that belittle you and tell you, well, this other person is above you and could do whatever they want with your life, then that is, and we accept it, then that is what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, war going on between Israel and Iran. The citizens, them that are killed.
Yeah.
They're not killing the government.
The leaders. Well, they want to kill the leader of Iran, but they're not getting the okay for that.
Government are friends, you know. Heads of government are friends. All of them is together.
You're correct, you know.
People.
Yeah.
The people them have to wake up and realize themselves in it, you know.
Yeah. You are
You
correct.
understand?
Yep.
No, it's a government for the people. But the people them gotta look them search themselves. You know what I mean? And this government is Rastafari. See? You have to know the God within yourself because it's the God within yourself is what keep you surviving. It's not the system. It's not nothing outside of you. Nothing outside of you can benefit you. Okay, I'll show you how simple. Let's say you're hungry, right? You're hungry and you got a plate of food before you. You think you can just sit there and just watch the plate of food and get a full belly?
Not at all. You have to consume.
Right? So we mustn't just stay outside, you know what I mean, stay with the outside thing, cause that's how we get in led astray and get in deceived. You know, we have to tune in, which means we have to tune off of that thing they would call the politics. See?
Or how can we tune off when it affects our daily lives? Okay,
you don't but the save us for money, you know, it's money what the system want to have. Right? Money. We don't eat money.
No.
We do not eat money.
No,
and you need food, air, and water to live, survive, for the body, survive. And the food come from the earth. Remember, all the good things in life are free, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still free. The money, the monetize what them can monetize, you know what I mean, and build up greed and desire inside of we so we can chase down the thing them, you know what I mean. But it's the microchip we gotta watch yourself for, you know, because the mark of the beast is coming.
Sure
While
is.
we're being caught up with the wars and all of them things, the man planning the next system. Yeah. As soon as the war cool down, you got a next problem to do.
Exactly. Something to deflect to something
So we
that
have
they...
to wake up now. And now we have to wake up, you know. Yeah, and look within yourself and look. Greg ain't so wrong, you know, what Greg does be saying, you know, Greg does talk a lot of sense, you know what I mean, but because, you know what I mean, like, he come upon he talk it from the perspective of his religion, which is Christianity, which I get a lot of fire in this time. You know what I mean? Everybody that tune him out, but
it's not that he's tuned out. It's that we know that we can't go and tell them this way would be better and they'll take us on, right? You know they ain't. Yeah. They're going to think their way is the correct way. Just like how we mentioned that from slavery we got this system and that wasn't the correct way.
But he should be pointing you to the Bible. So we need to read the Bible for ourselves. Not with the eyes of religion. Read it as a book. It have a lot of valuable information in it. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Give thanks for the time. Yeah.
Thank you for your contribution, caller. And we have 1 more minute before we close out to my almost quiet co-host today. You have anything else to add?
I think I finally waking up a bit. The voice don't really wake up when I wake up. It take a while before it yeah.
At the end, the voice wakes up.
But I wanted to ask a question. I keep hearing about the opposition. What they expect the opposition to do if you're not going to give them a chance?
A chance to do what?
If I'm in opposition for 5 years or 10 years, you have to give me a chance.
But they're being...
you have to give me a chance.
Okay. All right.
You know?
All right.
Because they can't do much. They could speculate what they're going to do. They could try, but if they ain't get voting in to run the country, how will we know what they can do? So when people saying that they're outside and they're not doing anything, they're mobilizing, even when they mobilize, even when they come up, they protest against this and that, people don't vote in the opposition. I've been here for a while and realize it. And when they keep on saying the opposition is not doing enough, you're doing enough. Vote them in and then decide after that.
Yeah,
that's a solution right here.
Oh.
But we have to go. We have our next interview lined up. So stick and stay with us right here and Win FM.
Yep.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.